That guy's a monster. I was telling everybody about that guy when he was in Glory.
I remember.
When they were saying he was coming over to the UFC, I was like, I told DC, I go, dude, get ready for this motherfucker. Because this motherfucker puts people into orbit.
Brother.
He's got crazy power.
Actually, you know, since we're talking about Wakanda, he might be like a Doctor Strange guy. He might have the ring on, bro. Look underneath his glove or something. That's what's happening, bro.
Well, what he is a real Amazon warrior. Like, that's his gene.
Yeah, you see him, bro. You see him go back to his village?
Yeah.
All painted up and stuff like a leopard?
Yeah, bro.
Bro, guy's a G, bro. He's
He's the real deal.
And now Pereira go for the finish! What a leaping knee! Down twice is Jason Wellness. He doesn't know what's hit him.
Oh, knee up the middle. Could be the beginning of the end.
Oh, no! He's done it! He has done it! Glory's first ever 2 division!
Speaking to it, all the clinch and the grab.
No, this nose is already bleeding.
Left hook right at the back, and that is
And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Alex Pereira. Mr. Stone Hands has signed a brand new deal with the world's best league for at least 8 more fights. And that means Poatan is coming to take everything.
Everybody in that middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight division are in trouble when they fight a guy like Alex Pereira. If you don't take the path of least resistance and you let him actually fight in the way that he does have the biggest advantage, I think they're all in trouble.
His return to the octagon is expected very soon, and it's set to happen at the White House. Only a limited number of fighters were granted access to this exclusive event, and the Brazilian is one of them.
Honestly, I just wanted to let go of my belt and fight heavyweights. And fight for a belt, babe. But like honestly, if it was lineal, intro, or even a regular fight, I just expressed myself that I wanted to do a heavyweight fight, and they took really good care of me. The way that they gave me this last contract was so good that I let it open for them to do whatever they want.
So smash that like button. And while you do that, we're about to tell you the story of Alex Pereira and his journey through the world of combat sports.
I remember how we all used to sit by that wall, holding plates of food in our hands while we ate. If you're wondering, we never had anything like a table where the whole family could sit down together and eat. One person would be sitting on a chair, another on the couch, and someone else on the back of the couch.
In combat sports, stories that begin at absolute rock bottom are rare. Usually, the road to greatness is paved with childhood gyms, ambitious coaches, and dreams of becoming a champion. But Alex Pereira's story starts differently. Not in a gym, but in a ditch, the kind of place alcohol dragged him into. If someone had told a barefoot kid from a Brazilian favela in 2009, a kid scraping cement off his hands and shaking from a hangover, that one day he'd stand on top of the MMA world holding belts in the most prestigious promotion on earth, he probably would have just laughed in their face and ordered another shot of cheap cachaça. And yet, 16 years later, Alex Pereira would become a one-of-one figure in combat sports history, the only fighter ever to simultaneously hold titles in 2 Glory kickboxing divisions, and later one of the few chosen warriors in UFC history to conquer 2 weight classes. But more importantly, he would become a symbol of what can happen when indigenous blood, inhuman willpower, and hands they call stone come together to rewrite destiny. This is not just a story about victories. This is the story of how an alcoholic became a warrior, how a man who once served hell became a spiritual leader for his people, and how a human body sculpted for destruction learned how to build something greater.
I started working when I was 12 years old. Obviously, I wasn't capable of doing everything that needed to be done because I still didn't know a lot and the work was hard, but I kept learning. And by the time I was 15 or 16, I was able to do the kind of work that was usually given to grown men.
São Bernardo do Campo, 1987. On the rough industrial outskirts of São Paulo, where the concrete skeletons of the favelas blend into muddy streets and survival is the only real profession, on July 7th, Alexandro Silva Pereira was born. He came into this world in a place where survival was the only daily activity and where his future already seemed written for him. Hard labor, early adulthood, and the bitter taste of hopelessness. There was nothing romantic about Pereira's childhood. He had barely stepped into high school before harsh reality forced him to pick up a brick trowel. As a teenager, he was already working as a bricklayer's assistant, carrying cement, mixing mortar, and learning the brutal mechanics of construction. Then came the tire shop. Dirty work, repetitive work, soul-draining work. But physical exhaustion was the lesser evil. The real demon that moved into young Alex's life was the environment around him. Surrounded by other tired young men who saw alcohol as the only way to numb the grayness of everyday life, he started drinking. Slowly, inevitably, he didn't fall into that culture overnight. He dissolved into it.
When we were kids, even before I got that job at the tire shop, we used to drink at the end of every year. Me, my brother, and other kids our age, around 10 or 11 years old. We'd pour ourselves champagne and drink it on New Year's. At first, that's all it was. Once a year, and that was it. But then we started doing it more often, and in secret, away from the adults.
Alcoholism is not just a habit, it's a slow decomposition of the human soul. By the age of 20, Pereira had already hit the bottom. His life had become an endless cycle of work, alcohol, hangovers, and back to work again. He was losing friends, losing self-respect, losing his health. It was the classic Brazilian tragedy. A young man from the favela sliding down the exact path society had already decided would be his destiny. But in 2009, something happened that people might call the mercy of the gods, or, as Alex himself would later call it, his salvation. To break free from alcohol, Pereira stepped through the doors of a local kickboxing gym. This was not some grand, noble decision made by a future world champion. This was the desperate move of a drowning man. One addiction being replaced with another. He wasn't chasing glory. He was looking for medicine, and he found it. Every punch on the heavy bag, every combination drilled over and over. Every sweat-soaked exhale burned away another piece of the man alcohol had turned him into. Inside that gym, Alex found something he had never truly had before: discipline and purpose. And it was there, in that modest little gym, that a coach looked at this skinny, trembling young man and saw something greater than a former drunk. Watching the way he worked, the coach gave him a nickname that would later become prophetic. Poatan. Alex hit the heavy bag with the kind of rage that made it look like he was trying to pulverize every mistake he'd ever made. The Brazilian's rise in professional kickboxing was as fast and violent as his now famous left hook. He started in 2010 and very quickly tore through local promotions. The blood of a warrior had finally awakened. There was nothing elegant about his style, but what he lacked in finesse, he made up for with primitive, almost pagan power. He didn't enter the ring like a polished gladiator. He entered it like a jungle warrior, slow, heavy, raw, and absolutely terrifying. In 2012, Pereira captured the Jungle Fight middleweight title and won the WGP Grand Prix.
Just keep hunting with the hands, like that.
But the real test came when he stepped onto the international stage, a completely different level, where the names standing across from him were already known across major combat sports events. At first, things didn't go too smoothly. The truth was simple. He still didn't have enough experience. But over time, he began to evolve. The technical holes in his game started to close, and his natural gifts perfectly compensated for the parts of fighting he was still learning. The next 2 years became a period of growth through war. He won tournaments. He knocked people unconscious. But he also suffered painful losses to men like Artem Levin and Cesar Almeida, rivals with whom he would later build legendary trilogies. Every loss made him stronger.
His highlight reel is so wild. Like his fight, you see his fight with Jason Wilness?
No.
Pereira KO's Jason Wilness.
It's kickboxing?
Yeah, Jason Wilness was world champion. Jason Wilness is like top of the food chain, elite kickboxer.
And now Pereira going for the finish. What a leaping knee! Down twice is Jason Wilness. He doesn't know what's hit him.
2016, the turning point of his kickboxing career. In China, at a Glory of Heroes event, a meeting took place that would shape the future of mixed martial arts for years to come. Standing across from Alex was a young, flashy, undefeated knockout artist from New Zealand, Israel Adesanya. Their first fight went the full 5 rounds. Pereira leaned heavily on what he did best, raw power, and earned a unanimous decision victory. But that win did not settle the score. Adesanya wanted revenge, and he got his chance in March 2017. That fight went down in kickboxing history as a masterclass in knockout artistry. In the 3rd round, just when it looked like the fight was heading toward another judge's decision, the Brazilian found his target. That left hook, that same stone left hook, crashed into Izzy's jaw like a death sentence.
这个躲真漂亮，非常漂亮啊！左手平勾，左平勾打到黑龙了，黑龙哦，看黑龙这个时候呼吸来了，还在读秒，让佩雷拉站到边上。
Israel Adesanya collapsed to the canvas, while Pereira celebrated the biggest win of his career with a smile on his face. That was the moment the legend was born. The man who beat, twice, the fighter who would later become one of the greatest MMA athletes of the modern era.
At the end of the day, no one knows who the f he is, and he's gonna be that guy when I'm world champion, when I'm a legend. He's gonna be at some pub talking some shit about, I beat that guy one time.
But his greatest kickboxing glory was still ahead. In October 2017, at Glory 46, Alex Pereira defeated Simon Marcus to become the undisputed Glory middleweight champion. He defended the belt with ruthless efficiency. Yusri Belgarui fell to him twice. And in 2019, Jason Wilness experienced the full horror of Pereira's flying knee, a weapon that would become one of his signature kill shots. But Alex wasn't planning to stop at one division. In September 2019, he moved up to light heavyweight and knocked out Donegi Abena, capturing the interim Glory light heavyweight title. Alex Pereira became the first fighter in Glory history to win titles in 2 weight classes. And to this day, none of the currently active fighters in that organization have matched that accomplishment. Then, in January 2021, he defeated Artem Vakitov to unify the belts. At that moment, he stood at the top of kickboxing like a colossus, stretching the limits of what a human being could do. It looked like he had done it all, like he had earned the right to rest. But no, the war inside him needed a new battlefield.
I was just telling you, this is a different thing you're dealing with. I mean, there's great kickboxers. There's a lot of great kickboxers. There's knockout artists. This is different. Yeah. It's like a different kind of human. He's built different.
Toward the end of his kickboxing career, Pereira had already begun testing himself in other disciplines. We won't touch on his boxing attempts just yet. Maybe that's a story for another episode. Today, we're focusing on the thing that truly made him who he is in the eyes of the world, his transition to MMA, because that journey started long before he ever became a UFC superstar. Back in 2015, while still an active kickboxer, Pereira made his first trial run inside the cage at Jungle Fight, and quite predictably, it went badly. Quemuel Otoni caught him in a choke in the third round. That was a brutal reminder that the world of mixed martial arts does not revolve around striking alone. Wrestling, grappling, jiu-jitsu, ground control. For Poatan, all of that was a dark forest.
They love him, dog. The reception this guy gets everywhere we go is nuts. Because he went to Canada, dude. There have to be 10,000 people in that mall to see him sign some autographs. Everywhere he goes, people are just drawn to him. And I believe that part of that intrigue is the fact that we still don't know him. Generally, we get to know guys before they become champions, right? It felt like you knew Max Holloway because he was around so long before he got to the belt. Leon Edwards and all those other guys, you feel like you know him. Alex Pereira has still only been here for 2.5 years, bro. It's been 2.5 years, and the dude's already had 2 UFC championships.
But Pereira was never a man who ran from difficulty. He kept balancing kickboxing and MMA, gaining precious experience every step of the way. The real expansion only began in 2020, when he signed with LFA. But before that, the Brazilian had already picked up a few more MMA fights. In January 2016, Alex Pereira faced Marcelo Cruz in São Paulo, and even in this early, unfinished version of Poatan, his brutal skill set, distance control, cardio, and overall preparedness were already enough to launch his opponent's consciousness into another orbit. He trapped Cruz against the cage and unloaded some of the best combinations in his arsenal, finishing the job like a master craftsman. Then, in May, Pereira delivered another explosive performance against Marcos Vinicius da Silveira at Jungle Fight 87, feeding his opponent a clean premium dose of punches and kicks that led to another win in the second round.
I want to thank all of you for your support. It means a lot to me to see that you follow me not only for my kickboxing performances, but here as well. I also want to thank my entire coaching team for preparing me so well for this fight. I'll do my best to keep giving you more victories like this. Glory to Brazil.
By November 2020, Pereira had finally freed himself from all remaining obligations with Glory. They couldn't convince him to stay, not even with what was reportedly the most lucrative deal possible. But Alex had already made up his mind. His kickboxing chapter was over for good. It was time to write a new one. The first real pages of that new story were written in LFA, where he collided with Thomas Powell at LFA 95. A lot had changed during the 4-year gap in MMA competition. Poatan had become stronger, sharper, more mature. He knocked out Thomas Powell in the very first round with such terrifying force that the poor guy reportedly needed around 10 minutes to fully come back to his senses.
He knocked out Stylebender in a kickboxing bout, and then he finally made his UFC debut, and I was so excited about this. I'm like, because this guy has this freakish, disproportionate power where it doesn't make any sense.
Very quickly, rumors of Alex Pereira signing with the biggest promotion in the world started taking over the combat sports news cycle, and in September 2021, the deal was signed. The fact that he was now entering UFC while following in the footsteps of his sworn enemy, Israel Adesanya, who by that point had already become the king of the middleweight division, only added more tension and drama to the story. His UFC debut came in New York at UFC 268 against Andreas Michailidis.
He's a tough opponent. For sure, he's going to try to trade some strikes, but I don't think he's going to do the whole fight. For sure, he'll be trying to take me down. But it's not something that really gets me concerned, to be honest, because he's not a great wrestler. Have a good jiu-jitsu, but I watched some previous fights of him, some previous tapes, and he tried some takedowns, but was not successful. And you can't work jiu-jitsu if you cannot transit the fight to the ground.
A flying knee, a follow-up finish, and just like that, Alex Pereira announced himself to the UFC world.
Clinching the ground.
Well, I came here, of course, to be a champ, but I'm almost taking my time, evolving, getting better every day. I'm 34 years old, but I'm happy to be every day getting better and better.
After that, he fought a tough but clearly winning battle against Bruno Silva, proving he was fully capable of going the distance and still getting the job done.
I'm mentally prepared to either fight 3 or 5 rounds, so I don't get frustrated on my own expectations. So I trained very hard for this, and I was just ready for whatever.
Then came July 2022. To earn a title shot, Pereira needed to get through Sean Strickland, who at that point was rapidly approaching his prime. That happened at UFC 276.
Man, I mean, we'll find out. I don't really go in a game plan. I mean, obviously, if I go in there and he starts fucking hurting me, yeah, I'm going to take the coward's way out and try to wrestle. But, like, hopefully I could stand and bang with this gigantic, scary fucking Brazilian.
Well, I'm very prepared for this fight, so whatever it brings, I'm ready. If you want to try strike, I'm ready. If you want to grapple, let's do it.
And in the very first round, Poatan put Strickland into a deep sleep with a horrifying left hook. The title fight with the stylebender became inevitable.
I see this being a very hard and difficult fight. Maybe the hardest fight that I ever had. Israel, gotta give it to him too. He's a great champion. He's a great fighter. He have a great story. But now it's my time to shine.
What did you make of his line? I don't know if it meant anything to you. He said he's going to leave you frozen like Elsa. Are you a fan of Frozen? Do you know what this means? Your reaction to this line?
He spent a childhood watching cartoons. I spent my childhood working on a tire shop. Try to make money and provide for my family for a better life. I didn't watch no cartoons. First, number two, I don't speak English. So when he comes and say, I'm going to leave you frozen and all this kind of stuff, like, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, Frozen, it makes no difference for me. I don't watch no cartoons. He's been fooling the people. He created expectation, like he said, that he was going to make this last fight look easy, and then makes a show, talks a lot, and goes over there as a boomer. We mean, no, I just stay quiet. People say you're going to knock the guy out. I say, I don't know, let's see. But people create the expectation because I stay quiet, but then I knock people out, I shock everybody. You know what I mean? No, he keeps saying, I'm going to froze you, froze this. Like, for me, it makes no sense. I'm not even watching cartoon. What are you going to do? You're going to put me on the fridge? Like, you know what I mean? Let's fight.
November 12th, 2022, UFC 281. Madison Square Garden. This was not just a fight for a belt. This was a war for the right to be called the greatest rival of Adesanya's life. For Israel, a chance to avenge the destruction he suffered in kickboxing. For Alex, the opportunity to do the impossible. Become UFC middleweight champion with only 7 professional MMA fights on his resume. The fight was brutal. Izzy fought carefully, smartly, but he still couldn't finish what he started. Poatan came back to life, and in the final round, he stopped the former champion by technical knockout.
I don't know. it's just a good vibe, man. You know, he felt good over there, and I told him, enjoy the moment.
You told him 5th round, go crazy because you're down.
I did. I say, he looked at me like this. Do I have to knock him out? I say, you better knock him out. Because if you want this, you better knock him out.
But as time would later prove, their story wasn't over. In April 2023, the rematch at UFC 287 was even more personal, even more heated.
I say his recovery and his fighting spirit. That's something that I definitely felt like he surprised me with. But Saturday night, time for talking is done. I'm gonna show him my fighting spirit, and you all know I have that shit.
It's gonna be a physical fight. It's gonna be a psychological fight. I've said as many times, we have to forget all those 3 fights. But I know he hasn't forgotten any of those 3 fights, and I think that's gonna be a psychological factor. The important thing is what you're gonna see on Saturday.
And this time, Adesanya came in perfectly prepared. In the second round, he caught Pereira during an exchange and sent him into dreamland. The belt returned to the last stylebender. Strangely enough, it wasn't a disaster for Poatan at all. If anything, it opened a new door.
When I hear that he will come to our division, so I just, want to fight against him and talk with my manager. And they do this fight, was easy.
After losing the title, Pereira didn't beg for a rematch. He did what his body had been telling him to do all along. He moved up to light heavyweight, where the very things nature blessed him with would matter most: raw power and elite athleticism. His debut there came against former champion Jan Błachowicz, and it was a real test of toughness. The Polish fighter approached the bout like a classic wrestler, relying heavily on takedowns and control. Alex didn't dominate him. He survived, adapted, and did everything he could to land meaningful damage. That was enough to earn a split decision victory, showing the world that Pereira was capable of growing in the very areas where many kickboxers completely fall apart.
First round, he didn't stick with what he said. He said he was going to trade, then he came straight for the takedown. But I stayed patient. A flashback came on my mind from my first fight in the UFC against Mihalit. It's the same situation. So I just warned him out, let him grind himself out on me so I could win the second and third. Second round, the guy saw that I almost knocked him out in the end. I was better. Third round, too. He scored a takedown in the end, but I don't think it was enough to win that round due to the damage that I put on him.
By November 2023, at UFC 295, he was given the chance to fight for the vacant light heavyweight title against Jiří Procházka.
I know you said this week you don't think he's a complete martial artist.
I said that because it's true. It's true because his stand-up is on the 90% and wrestling is somewhere there, grappling somewhere there. And I don't want to say that my grappling or wrestling is something special.
Sure.
But
it exists.
The first collision between the Czech samurai and the Brazilian monster was violent, chaotic, and powerful. The Czech samurai came charging forward, like a man swinging a katana, trying to overwhelm Pereira with pressure and madness. But that strategy didn't work. Alex showed a clear evolution in his arsenal, stopped the Czech warrior, and became the 9th fighter in UFC history to win titles in 2 different weight classes.
Let's rewind a little bit. Like in the first few years of my career, I did not even picture that I could make a living with fighting. If I could even support myself just with fighting. But I have great people around me that motivated, that boost me, and I came here, with all this success. I keep just proving that you're able to do it.
And that was only the beginning of the Poatan era. The first man in line for a title defense was Jamahal Hill at the historic UFC 300 in April 2024.
Jamal Hill, I put him in a 4th position. I've said this in a couple of interviews. I think it's a very good matchup for me, but I will put him in 4th place.
Oh, make no doubt, I'm here to put him out. He got to go to sleep. Only one way to this end. It's okay with him ranking me as 4th. I'm okay with that. You know, whatever his opinions are, whatever. We're going to get in there and see. We're going to get in there and see. You already know how I'm coming. You know, just getting acquainted with the visual that I plan on seeing on Saturday night.
In the main event of that landmark card, the Brazilian knocked Hill out in the first round with a devastating hook. And that was the moment one of the most iconic images of Pereira's career was born. His now famous pose pointing at the fallen opponent.
Jamal came to win. Thought he was going to win. The other thing, I don't know if you guys don't know this yet, but I'll tell you. I just found out when I went up in the octagon because I saw him messing around with his foot. He broke his toe 2 weeks ago, and he fought tonight with a broken toe. I thought he broke his toe in the fight, and his team's like, no, he broke his fight 2 weeks ago, and he's like, yeah, I ain't losing this opportunity for a fucking pinky toe. That's what he said. So,
very quickly, Pereira became a life-saving anchor for the UFC matchmakers. That happened at UFC 300. And then again at UFC 303 just 2 months later.
Cool, Shama. All right, thank you.
What happened?
Las Vegas.
What do you mean?
I'm replacing McGregor on the card.
Man, are you serious?
I'm serious, guys. I'm dead serious.
Let's fucking go.
The rematch with the Czech Samurai was even more explosive than the first, and once again, Alex knocked him out, this time with a head kick and brutal follow-up shots.
Alex Pereira with an early head kick, round 2, and still Alex Pereira.
yeah, I mean, he looked incredible. Fight started just like the last fight. Chopping that calf kick, you know, busting his leg up. And then, I mean, oh, he got saved by the bell. No, he didn't. Yeah, no, he didn't. It was incredible. I mean, that guy is a monster.
By October 2024, at UFC 307, Pereira was chasing something very few fighters in history have ever accomplished: 3 title defenses in less than 1 calendar year. Standing in his way was Khalil Rountree Jr., and that fight turned into a bloody, savage war. Rountree showed incredible heart and toughness, making it more than halfway through the fight, but he could not make it to the final horn. Alex drained him, broke him down, and took him apart piece by piece.
What hard, but he just doesn't have much left.
Oh, there it is. Body shot. Body shot. Right? That'll do it. That will indeed do it. And still, Alex Pereira.
Pereira's a different cat, man. Did you hear what Mark Goddard said to me after he fought Khalil Rountree? Mark Goddard came up to me and goes, mate, the sound it makes when he hits them is ungodly. He goes, I've been doing this for 20 years. He goes, the sound he makes is just different. It's ungodly. His power is so different. It's so. Do you know, like, Francis hit that punch pad and he got like 127 or whatever? Pereira got 190.
Yeah.
Do you know how crazy that is?
The final arc of Alex Pereira's light heavyweight run came against Magomed Ankalaev in March 2025. He lost to the Dagestani fighter by decision. It was later revealed that the Brazilian had been injured, though he never used that as an excuse. Then came the immediate rematch, and in October, in Las Vegas, something happened that only happens to the chosen few. Alex Pereira walked into the rematch with Ankalaev and destroyed him in 80 seconds, a technical knockout that spoke louder than words ever could. And once again, the Brazilian hit the now viral signature gesture that fans around the world had already come to know and love. Now, Alex Pereira stands on the edge of yet another chapter. In June 2026, he is planning to do what no one in UFC history has ever done: win a title in a third weight class, moving all the way up to heavyweight, where Cyril Gane is waiting for him. And if he does it, his name will be written into history, not just as a champion, but as one of the greatest fighters to ever live. But when you look back at the road he walked, you realize something. Pereira's greatness is not in the gold belts. It's in what he overcame. He turned his stone hands from tools of destruction into instruments of creation for himself, for his family, for his people, and for thousands of Brazilian kids who now look at him and see proof that even the deepest hole in life can be escaped if you still have something worth fighting for. He started as a construction worker, building the walls of other people's homes, and ended up becoming the man who built his own legend. His journey is a hymn to the power of human will, and that is something worth respecting. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next one. And of course, leave your thoughts down below in the comments. See you soon.